Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand.
Good morning, Earthlings. Welcome to First Contact Radio. Today is Wednesday. It is the 15th, middle of the week, middle of the month. Our sun sign is in Libra. Our moon sign is in Cancer. It will be there all day today. Cancer is a water sign. Libra is an air sign. So we're dealing with the elements of air and water. Air, which is words and actions. Tarot card of Justice, which is all about bringing karmic balance to our lives by understanding how to say the things that help us and avoid saying the things that hurt us. Cancer is the emotion, so underneath we have these emotions bubbling under the surface. We want to make sure that the emotions aren't going to get to us, that we then say things that we don't mean because the emotions pushed a button. We want to make sure we're wearing the armor of the charioteer as we move through the realm of the emotions so we don't get caught up in all of those emotions. Because we know what would happen if the water overflows, it floods everything. So we want to keep the water, the emotions at bay. Just a little bit from now, we got a square between Cancer and Venus. So those emotions are going to be into a square with our imagination and creativity. Lesson we need to learn there. Later this afternoon, just 1:35, we have a trine. This is between Cancer and Saturn. Disciplining of our emotions, how we control them. About 2:12 p.m. we have a square between the Sun and the Moon. So that means Libra and Cancer, those signs are going to be at odds with each other or squaring each other, which means there's a lesson to be learned. A lesson between the emotions, the things that we feel, and the things that we say and do. We want to make sure that if the things we say and do are affected by the things that we're feeling, it's not just because our buttons were pushed and we're just spouting the first things that come to us. We want to be able to learn the lesson, how to apply some discipline like that Saturn's going to show us, how to really use our imagination in the way we express ourselves. And then as we get to the evening, 6:27 p.m., when things begin to go void, of course, with the moon phase, which means it's making a transition to another sign, we have another lesson between Cancer, and this time it is Gemini, Mercury, communication. Okay, so whereas here we're just getting ready to go into this lesson with Venus, later we're going to go into the lesson with Mercury. Both of those important symbols, one's masculine, one's feminine. One is the subconscious, one's the unconscious. One is the creative imagination, what we're thinking inside. The other is the communication that we're expressing out into the world. So we're really going to learn some lessons because the Gemini, the Mercury, really likes to chatter. And so we need to find a way to make sure that our emotions and the way in which we communicate are all in synchronicity. Otherwise, again, we're getting our buttons pushed and we're not going to really like the results. Sometimes we say things we don't mean or do things we don't mean. The numerology for today is the number 5. 5 is the number related to the Hierophant, also the sign of Taurus. Here's how we've arrived at this. The number 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 5 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 4. All of that adds up to 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. So our numerology for today is 5. The 5th is right here. The Hierophant, the inner teacher. Libra right here is our sun sign. And our moon sign, Cancer, is over here. Okay. So what do we want to look at today? We looked at Cancer the other day, the Chariot. We looked at, let's take another look at Libra. We haven't looked at that. It's good in a little bit. It's always good to refresh our memory and just go over these things, because each time we learn a little bit more. At least I do. Alright, the key to this card is that is the center of the tarot pack, right? So we know that the first 10 all are affected by this 11, and then the last 10 after this represent another aspect of that energy. The key to the center of the tarot pack, it stands for equilibrium, a balance, and is symbolized by the tidal and the scales. Also symbolize the Hindu doctrine of karma, which literally means action or work. It manifests itself in the form as a law of undeviating justice. If we go back to the pattern on the trestle board, remember that about the undeviating justice it talks about? This doctrine is also expressed in the Judeo-Christian dictum, as a man soweth, so shall he also reap. In physics, it is stated that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It is the entire appearance of cause and effect. The two curtains suggest duality, represent balance by the symmetrical arrangement. The throne repeats the pillar and the veil, symbolism of key 2. The circle and the square on the front of the crown refer to the movement of spirit within material forms. The sword represents discrimination, which is closely allied with the idea of justice. Key 11 is the agency through which all the forces represented by 1 through 10 are transferred to the manifesting powers represented by keys 12 through 21. The cryptic statement deserves a great deal of thought upon your part. You will be well rewarded for your effort. So this is a big key, as it talks about that the first 10 pass through here, and then they take on the manifesting powers of 12 through 21. Hebrew letter Lamed means ox goad. Key number 11 represents Libra, and it's an air sign. Okay. Current moon phase is the third quarter, 52% of the way full, making our way down to the new moon. Sky tonight, it says the last quarter moon. The moon rises around midnight tonight below Gemini. By early dawn on Thursday the 16th is very high in the south, with Pollux and Castor above it. Procyon to its lower right, and bright Jupiter shining further in the lower left. We're at the Mayan Oracle. Today is a 12-tone day. 12 tones are called the crystal tone. So today is the crystal dog, guided by the wind. The dog's about love and loyalty. The wind's all about inspiration. So we're at that 12th position of the wave spell of the storm, the theme of the storm. So we've gathered a great deal of energy. We've made the rounds, and now here we've got that energy and that idea of what we want to do in our heart. We've expressed the loyalty of what this is to ourselves. Now we're getting ready to make the jump, which we will do tomorrow. So today it's all about love and loyalty. I dedicate in order to love, transcending, universalizing loyalty. I seal the process of heart with the crystal tone of cooperation. I'm guided by the power of spirit. Space weather, we're at 406.0 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is between the 2 and the 5, so we do have a storm which could be happening. Yesterday we were up in the 3s, pretty solid. Now we're bouncing back and forth here. No corona holes to affect us. We have the one on the bottom, but it's not facing us. M-class flare possibilities at 5. X-class still at 1. Geomagnetic storm activity has dropped off and will be dropping off in the next 24 to 48 hours, both in the higher mid-latitudes and also in the high latitudes. So we'll have to see how we're affected and what this storm is actually doing for us. How it's affecting us here. Okay. And today on the Jewish calendar, It's called 21 Tishri. It also has a name of Hoshana Rabbah, which is the seventh day of Sukkot. Daily thought is dancing with feet. Simchat Torah, we dance with our feet, not with our heads. We are celebrating the Torah, and the Torah is something we study with our heads, but we dance with our feet, not with our heads. If we would dance with our heads, each one would dance a different dance, each in a different space, some with friends, but not with others, some as lonesome souls. One head is higher, one is lower, one is here on earth, the other is in the clouds or beyond, and some minds know only their own space that no one else can know. But we dance with our feet, and all our feet here are here on the same earth, none higher, none lower. So now we can all dance as one, with one heart, as a single being. Now there is no loneliness, only joy. That's a nice one. I like that. I like that. All our feet are on the earth. Pretty good. All right, that gets us started for today. I will be back with UFO news.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. First sighting, this takes us back to last month to San Diego, California, and this is an orb. Okay, it is not quite a good picture as the orb we've seen before, but nonetheless we can see it has similar things hanging off of it. In this interesting catch, we see a metallic orb hovering during sunset. Seems to have several antenna-like arms coming out. I counted 3, but may have more. It doesn't seem to move much, meaning that the wind has little or no effect on it. You live in San Diego, you may have seen this UFO. The raw footage lasting about 12 minutes. It's what I saw. Take it or leave it. The sounds are from my camera. It's a digital tape, vintage 2002. Also the sound of the zoom motor on the lens. It also took me about 2 weeks to figure out how to get the video from my camera to my computer. I'm not that swift with this stuff. It drifted off to the west in the dark of the evening. I should have switched to night view on the camera and taken it off autofocus in hindsight. Alright, moving from there, let's go look at the next one here. Is ET in Argentina. Unidentified craft continue to make their presence felt throughout the region, according to accounts from dozens of eyewitnesses who claim having seen them in broad daylight and under various circumstances. Not merely one, but several of them flying over the city of Santa Rosa, La Pampa, and several localities of this region. In many cases, this was confirmed by dozens of photographs submitted to the Centro de Estudios UFO. These reports also were received from such neighboring countries as Chile, from where we received images from people who we trust our work. On Saturday, February 12th, specifically when a storm near the city of Santa Rosa around 2000 hours, several eyewitnesses from a neighborhood in the southeastern part of the city phoned to report the presence of 8 strange lights which plunged into the clouds in the middle of the storm after maneuvering in a perfect straight line formation, something that no conventional vehicle would do. Alright, moving from there, we go over to Mexico City, the 11th. Here's what we see there. It says, I monitored all night the Mexico City UFO sighting. This time was very massive, 8 a.m. in the morning. In Mexico, I saw a large, like mothership, very low distance from the buildings, possible 100-150 meters from the buildings. You can decide the size of the UFO and the distance to the ground. I monitored it from Sydney to Mexico City live webcam. This webcam changes the picture every minute. Okay, so it's an 8-minute video. And if we scroll through here, you can see the image that was captured on this webcam. Alright, so check out the video. Next here we go to a story at UFO Digest. It says UFOs in deep water lakes and the connection with New York. For years it has been noted by UFO experts that areas near many deep water lakes around the world have unusual amount of UFO sightings. These deep water lakes seem to be a magnet to UFOs. There are many reports that some UFO leave the sky and enter the water, therefore becoming unidentified submerged objects or USOs. So what does this have to do with New York State? Seneca and Cayuga of New York's Finger Lakes are New York State's deep water lakes. Seneca Lake at 618 feet and Cayuga at 435. Needless to say, both lakes have had their share of conventional area UFO sightings over the years. In July of 2011, there was a notable sighting reported by 3 different sets of observers. July 13, 2011, 9:45 p.m., a respected aunt had just returned from a family reunion. Before going to her residence, she suddenly spotted a large glowing orbs. She counted upwards of 7 of them moving with pulsing light appearance. A bit frightened, she called several relatives to see if they could see the glowing orbs. Miles away, other relatives received a cellular call from their aunt and were asked to take a look. A nephew recalls, at first we saw nothing, but as we crested on the first hill, I saw 2 lights over the trees at a high altitude to my right, pulsing and alerting my cousins and my mother. We watched these lights for a few moments, debating on whether or not there were stars at first. Both lights were blinking and pulsing very rapidly, and then moved across the highway to our north and joined with a third blinking light. At the aunt's location, her son had joined her and observed that 3 of the lights were in a triangle formation. Her son reported that the dark triangle shape had lights at its tip. He also reported that a 4th object was trailing the triangle. It flashed and winked out. In another report by another motorist and his wife elsewhere in Watkins Glen recounted, my husband said I could make out 3 lights moving faster and more erratically than any plane or helicopter could. The lights were traveling fast in the sky over Ithaca ahead of us, and then whipping around the sky to our left, which would be the northeast. The wife added that the movements were unpredictable, swift and jerky. The lights seemed to have a reddish-amber cast alternating with a yellow-white color. They were very far away and very high in the sky. Alright, I'm going to leave that for you. I'm going to move on to the next one. Story says, why are aliens visiting the Earth? The answer may surprise you. When many acknowledge the presence of extraterrestrials in our world, they are as complete lost to explain why they are here. As with most things in life, the explanation is fairly straightforward and not that difficult to comprehend. Understanding the primary motive of extraterrestrial visits will help explain the UFO phenomena. Most people believe that extraterrestrials are visiting Earth to monitor the progress in humanity, the behavior of humanity. To a certain extent that might be true, but it's much more likely that they are periodically coming here to examine the health of planet Earth. After all, even our scientists are beginning to come around to the idea that planet Earth is a living sentient being. In the greater cosmos, human and extraterrestrial life may be fairly common. On the other hand, what little we know about other planets and the universe at large indicate that our home planet is an extremely desirable and rare occurrence within the cosmos. People have wondered for a long time why ET has not made their presence known. If we are not in the primary reason that they are here, why would they disclose their existence? The survival of mankind is probably very far down on their list of priorities. For that matter, survival of humanity may not even be on their list of priorities. Have you ever stopped to consider that planet Earth has more valuable to an alien race if there were no humans inhabiting the planet? Everything we need to sustain life has been provided for on planet Earth. We are blessed with an abundance of water, sunshine, breathable air, enough land and food to house and feed 7 billion people. We share Earth with millions of species of plants, animals, and insect life, each playing an important role in the ecosystem. That in itself is remarkable. It makes our planet an astonishing place, a very rare and unusual gem among the stars. Those that follow UFOs closely know the large wave of UFO sightings in modern time coincided with the discovery of the splitting of the atom and the use of atomic energy during World War II. In other words, when we discovered how to manipulate nuclear energy, we triggered an unprecedented wave of UFO sightings. There are well-documented cases of UFOs hovering over nuclear military facilities in both the U.S. and Russia. Reliable witnesses state that the crafts were tampering with the nuclear armament control systems. This behavior by UFOs and their inhabitants was not an accident and was clearly a message to humanity. Many people want to believe that if things get out of control and World War II gets underway, that our extraterrestrial brother will step in and save humanity. Nothing could be further than the truth. ET may step in and save planet Earth, but they will have little time and no admiration for a species that never understood how good they had it in the first place. There's little doubt that Earth's oceans, forests, and species of planets and animals are worth saving. The living, breathing, self-regulating, sentient being that we are living on is at the core of their mission. UFOs have had a long and documented history of appearing just after natural or man-made catastrophic events. There is not much question that they are keeping their eye on the prize that we call Earth. So a lot to think about. A lot of important information here to think about on really why they are here and what they're doing. 3 extraterrestrial encounters from UFO Digest. First visual contact. While growing up in a small Connecticut shoreline town outside New Haven, never really believed in anything. I guess I was a child atheist. I believed what I was taught in school, logic and science. Ghosts, aliens, magic, even God were all made-up things. Until one day the universe decided to let me in on some big secrets. It seemed that something I learned in school wasn't the whole truth. Now that I've written my book and have spoken to others in the world of ufology, I found out that my extraterrestrial experiences, beginning at such a young age, is common. Often people who become contactees have their first contacts as children. The first lesson the universe had for me was to take away my foundation of reality. It began in my childhood home, on an ordinary night and not like many other. My family all went to sleep, and as I had done many times before, I got out of bed in the middle of the night and I quietly took my blanket and laid on top of it, on top of the heater vent in the hallway. The vent came through the floor in the middle of the hall and the top of the stairs. It was centered between 4 bedrooms and bathroom on the 2nd floor, where I would often fall asleep. This time I was awakened by what I thought was a young boy standing at my feet, smiling at me. About 3 feet tall, with blonde straight hair. I thought that maybe my sister Janet had been sitting, and the child woke up wondering. But I thought it was probably a dream because the child didn't make sense. So I rubbed my eyes, but the child was still there. I did it again, only harder. Again, still there. I remember thinking that I had to wake myself. I rubbed my eyes 2 more times, still there. Only now, because of the look on his face, I started getting scared. It began to occur to me that this wasn't what it seemed. So I ever so slowly stood up. He was looking right at me, and smiling with an uncanny, knowing smile. Something in his expression seemed to me as if he was thinking, I know something about you. Suddenly he started to move, and he went around me from my right side to the left. As he passed, I followed him through my mom's open door at the end of the hall. There he stopped at the end of her bed while still looking at me. I slowly circled around him, making no quick or jerky movements. I didn't want to arouse any suspicion of what I was about to do. I stood between him and the end of my mom's bed. He was now right under the hanging light switch. I was going to grab the switch quick before he could have a chance to react. Now I quickly pulled the switch. The light blows out, but during the flash I could see he or it was gone. I instantly leaped into my mother's bed and frantically woke her up so I could tell her, Mom, Mom, Mom. She's like, what's the matter? I just saw a ghost at the end of your bed, she says. That's because you're so bad. I was around 9 years old at the time when and that was really encouraging. The next morning I told my brother, but he didn't believe me. He went upstairs with me to turn the lights and it was blown out. See, I wasn't lying. Alright, there's more stories here. The second contact. I'm going to leave that for you to read. And the last one here is a new documentary that comes out. It deals with the Roswell incident, but it goes and starts to apply the Nazi story that we've heard about. The story is a bit hard to believe for several reasons. Nazis, UFOs, Roswell, World War II are all things that sell in today's world, but selling tabloid stories does not advance the truth behind the UFO phenomena. Plus, the story is sadly lacking in details, such as what kind of propulsion system powered the vehicles, how did it get to Roswell, what happened to the craft. If the documentary addresses any of these new relevant information, we will report back after the show airs. A German TV documentary being screened on Wednesday night claims the mysterious UFO Roswell incident in the U.S. nearly 70 years ago was the result of experiments with secret, ultra-secret Nazi rocket technology. The Roswell incident was reported on July 8, 1947 in the town of the same name under New Mexico. Initially thought to be the crash landing of a flying saucer, military authorities later said it was a downed weather balloon, but conspiracy theorists over the years have always insisted the military was covering up an alien invasion. But now a documentary entitled UFOs in the Third Reich claims the incident was linked to the testing of the Bell, a copper-colored aircraft 3 meters in diameter, the core of which was a futuristic propulsion unit using electric particles. The documentary screened on the N24 channel claims the craft was the forerunner of the stealth fighter of today and was crafted by scores of V-2 rocket experts who were spirited to America at the end of the war to give the U.S. an edge over the Soviet Union in the rocket technology. Alright, so we have descriptions of what people saw in Roswell, what people collected. Not anything that they've ever described or talked about looks like this. So this is what they're going to try to push off, that this is what it was, just like they tried to push off that they were just crash test dummies. Just like they tried to push off that it was swamp gas and all the other nonsense they tried to tell you. So think for yourself. That's all we can really do. Think for ourselves. Anyway, that is our UFO news. I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Continue on. So I've been talking about Atlantis on Wednesdays. I'm going to continue that again today. Here we have a map. This is a map that has been discussed for some time. It's called the Piri Reis Map. Let me tell you a little bit about this. Piri Reis was an Ottoman captain, geographer and cartographer born between 1465 and 1470 and died in 1554 or 1555. He's primarily known today for his maps and charts collected in his Kitab-i-Baryi, or Book of Navigation, a book which contains detailed information on navigation as well as very accurate for its time charts describing the important parts and cities of the Mediterranean Sea. Little is known today about the identity of the Piri Reis. Even the name roughly translated means sea captain. His origin is debatable, and sources refer to him as a Christian, possibly Greek, Jewish, or ethnic Turkish. Haji Ahmed Muhyiddin Piri was born either in Gallipoli or European part of the Ottoman Empire in Karaman, central Anatolia, but the exact date of his birth is unknown. He was the son of Haji Mehmed Piri and began engaging in piracy when he was young. In 1481, following his uncle Kemal Reis, a well-known pirate and seafarer of the time who had later become famous admiral of the Ottoman fleet. During the periods the Ottomans were at war, together with his uncle, he took part in many naval flights against Spanish, Genoese, and Venetians, including the First Battle of Lepanto in 1499, the Second Battle of Lepanto in 1500, when his uncle Kemal Reis drowned in 1511, when his ship was wrecked by a storm. Piri returned to Gallipoli, where he started working his study about navigation. He gained fame as a cartographer when a small part of his first world map, prepared in 1513, was discovered in 1929 at Topkapı's Palace in Istanbul. His world map is the oldest known Turkish atlas showing the New World and one of the oldest maps of America still in existence in the world. The oldest known map of America that is still in existence is the map drawn by Juan de la Cosa in 1500, which is considered to be the Naval Museum of Madrid. Piri Reis Map is centered in Sahara at the Tropic of the Cancer latitude. By 1516, he was again at the sea as the ship's captain of the Ottoman fleet. He took part in the 1516 through 17 campaign against Egypt. In 1522, he participated in the siege of Rhodes against the Knights of St. John, which ended with the island surrender of the Ottomans on December 25, 1522, and the permanent departure of the Knights from the Rhodes in January 1st, 1523. In 1524, he captained the ship that took on the tragic Vizier Pargali Ishbaram Pasha to Egypt. Okay, so that's a little bit of who he is. Let's go look at another piece here. It says below, color map of the southeastern coast of Argentina curved sideways. The area of the square below coincides geographically with the land contours at the bottom of the Piri Reis Map, underlined in red. The Piri Reis Map shows a correct and continuous shoreline along the north and east coast of South America. One can see the Amazon and then past the hub of Brazil. One can follow the shoreline down to the river with three heads, and then follow it along Argentina, where on the Piri Reis Map the cartographer bent it eastwards to keep it on the paper. For some odd reason, some have claimed that this is Antarctica before the Ice Age, indicating the map is based on prehistoric originals. I'll put this up here a little bit so you could see this here. Possibly some of the wildest assertions made for prehistoric super civilization, for an Atlantean world culture, or an ancient UFO visitations of the Earth are on behalf of the Piri Reis Map, a map made in 1513 for Amir Abar, or Admiral of the Turkish Navy. This map was found when Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, the former residence of the deposed sultans, was being converted into a museum in 1929. The ancient astronaut theory was popularized by Erich von Däniken in Chariots of the Gods in 1969. Von Däniken observed that the maps are absolutely accurate. The coast of North and South America and even the contours of the Antarctic were precisely delineated on the Piri Reis maps. The maps not only reproduce the outlines of the continents, but also show the topography of the interiors. The latest studies of Professor Charles H. Hapgood and mathematician Richard W. Strahan give us some more shattering information. Comparison with modern photographs of our globe taken from satellites show that the originals of the Piri Reis maps must have been aerial photographs taken from a great height. Charles Berlitz added the Atlantean connection in the Bermuda Triangle in 1974. The Piri Reis map found in Istanbul in 1929, part of a world map said to have been copied from a Greek original in the Library of Alexandria. Among other features, the Piri Reis map shows detailed features of Antarctica, eventually drawn several thousand years before the Antarctica was discovered, as well as the true shape of Antarctica without the covering ice. Other features indicate an advanced knowledge of astronomy, trigonometry, and the ability to determine longitude, not known to our culture until the reign of George III of England. Many books and magazines have echoed such ideas. Again, as late as 1995, in his Fingerprint of the Gods, Graham Hancock used the Piri Reis maps as evidence for the possibility of a prehistoric supercivilization. He said the true enigma of this 1513 map is not so much its inclusion of a continent not discovered until 1818, but it portrays a part of the coastline of that continent under ice-free conditions which came to an end 6,000 years ago and have not since reoccurred. Again, as with the Bosch map, all of these above could extend some scientific credibility to their points of view from the 1965 work of Professor Charles Hapgood in his Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings, in which he postulated the map was drawn not only from Greek maps of 400 BC, but from much older maps as well, preceding 400 BC in that nebulous area of prehistory before our culture's records begin in Sumeria and Egypt. However, the extent that pseudoscience has taken back his work and added, Hapgood himself has some very novel theories for which he is ridiculed. In fact, the Piri Reis map was made in 1513, as the map itself says in Turkish. It does not show Antarctica at all. The land mass at the bottom is obviously connected to South America because it is South America. One can follow the coastline of South America quite well. The cartographer merely bent it around to keep it on the same swatch of paper. Okay, there's a lot of here discussing. Right, and let me go to one more here. And here's another image of the map. It says in 1929, a group of historians found an amazing map drawn on gazelle skin. Research showed that it was a genuine document drawn in 1513 by Piri Reis, a famous admiral of the Turkish fleet in the 16th century. His passion was cartography. His high rank within the Turkish navy allowed him to have a privileged access to the Imperial Library of Constantinople. The Turkish admiral admits in a series of notes on the map that he compiled and copied the data from a large number of source maps, some of which dated back to the 4th century BC or earlier. The Piri Reis map shows the western coast of Africa, the eastern coast of South America, the northern coast of Antarctica, and the northern coastline of Antarctica is perfectly detailed. The most puzzling, however, is not so much how the Piri Reis managed to draw such an accurate map of the Antarctic region 300 years before it was discovered, but that the map shows the coastline under the ice. Geological evidence confirms that the latest date Queen Maud Land could have been charted in an ice-free state is 4000 BC. The official science has been saying all along that the ice map, which covers Antarctica, is millions of years old. The Piri Reis map shows that the northern part of the continent has been mapped before. The ice did cover it. This should make us think that it has been mapped millions of years ago, but that's impossible since mankind did not exist at that time. Further and more accurate studies have proven that the last period of ice-free condition in the Antarctic ended about 6,000 years ago. There are still doubts about the beginnings of this ice-free period, which has been put by different researchers, everything between 13,000 to 9,000 BC. The question is, who mapped the Queen Maud Land of Antarctica 6,000 years ago? Which unknown civilization had the technology or the need to do that? It is well known that the first civilization, according to the traditional history, developed in the Mideast around 3000 BC, soon to be followed within a millennium by the Indus Valley and the Chinese ones. So accordingly, none of these known civilizations could have done such a job. Who was here 4,000 years BC being able to do such things that now are possible with modern technologies? And it says, as on July 6th, the U.S. Air Force responded to Professor Charles Hapgood of Keene, specifically to his request for an evaluation of the map. Says, dear Professor Hapgood, your request for evaluation of certain unusual features of the Piri Reis Map of 1513 by this organization has been reviewed. The claim that the lower part of the map portrays the Princess Martha coast of Queen Maud Land Antarctic and the Palmer Peninsula is reasonable. We find that this is the most logical and in all probability the correct interpretation of the map. The geographical details shown in the lower part of the map agrees very remarkably with the results of seismic profile made across the top of the ice cap by the Swedish-British Antarctic expedition of 1949. This indicates the coastline had been mapped before it was covered by the ice cap. The ice cap in this region is now about a mile thick, with no ideas how the data on this map can be reconciled with the supported state of geographical knowledge in 1513. Okay, let me jump down here. And one reason, I'm trying to find the info here, is when we look at the map, this is where we see things that aren't normally seen in our map, and one of which was believed to be not only Antarctica, but Atlantis. And that was one of the theories that this map showed. And so there's a lot more here. Map. Okay? Anyway, I'm going to leave this for you so you can check it out and see what you think and how this map perhaps got around into existence. But I'm going to move on to the next article. This is over at In5D. It's called, Are You a Sleep Warrior? Are You a Sleep Warrior? This is by Michelle Walling. Well, we are awake. We are in a limited consciousness. Our physical body has a reptilian brain which has a constructed veil or barrier between our world and the rest of creation. Is it possible that we could be doing much more than we realize when we are asleep in preparation for the lifting of the veil? There is a cosmic consciousness war going on in space that is evident in a microcosm detail on the planet. The battle here on Earth has been stacked against us, and our enemy has been siphoned by the Archons. Our energy has been siphoned by the Archons. Their minions altered the human body by inserting a veil that would cut us off from higher consciousness and our Creator. However, since we are multidimensional and eternal beings, only a small part of us here and the rest of us is working on merging us back together again. This part that we recognize as I was lured into a body that had a reptilian brain, and then our memories of who we are really were wiped clean. We have been trapped into a cycle of reincarnation ever since. The organic system of incarnation was first created to allow a soul to send part of itself into a physical body to have that experience. The whole system was hijacked, and we have been trapped and enslaved ever since. We are fed a program that would keep us in line as slaves to a system that consisted of money, religion, politics, and lies. We've also been fed a line of BS, as we were told that this was a learning experience that will propel us up Jacob's ladder into the higher realms of heaven. Many of us have awakened to what has happened, but we find ourselves wanting to fight from this limited consciousness and can't seem to figure out how to get out of this prison. Our soul knows the truth. On the other side of the veil, it is working with us to help prepare us for the moment the veil is lifted and the truth will be seen by everyone. As we have searched for answers to try to figure out why we are here and what our purpose is, many have fallen even further into the trap of confusion and disinformation. The hardest thing to accept is that all of our reality is a matrix construct. Sometimes it seems that we are living within a dream itself. I feel the closest thing to the truth is that we have inserted our consciousness into a hologram and has been trapped here by ET technology against our free will. If this is so, then our dream time would be more real than waking time here on this planet. I feel like we know the truth one day, very soon, and we will remember how we got here and how to move our consciousness back into an organic experience. I dream every single night, and most of the time, several times a night. There seems to be a storyline within each dream, and I wake up with the memory of what I was doing, but it seemed ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. I do not keep a dream journal anymore because I could never interpret them. I decided I would rather lie in bed upon waking and review everything that occurred, because turning on a light on or writing in a journal makes the memory fade quickly. What the heck am I really doing in my sleep? I've asked my higher self to help me to remember what I am doing, but the clues do not seem to add up. I usually feel a great relief when my astral body leaves my physical body, and sometimes I feel pissed off when I wake up and I realize I am still in the same scenario. I also feel like my soul inserts these storylines, clues, and messages in my dreams, but they are simply distracting me from knowing what I am really doing while I'm away from my physical body. Before my awakening, I struggled with a lot of nightmares. I have run for my life. I have fought with people with fists, and I have been shot several times in my dreams. In the past few years, I've totally removed the fear of dying, so I don't have those dreams that often anymore. I mostly have recurring dreams of school where I cannot find my schedule, locker, or classroom. I have many dreams of not having brakes in my cars, but I'm able to steer around other cars through the cities without wrecking. Many times I dream I'm driving a bus or RV with many people aboard and the brakes go out. I feel a great sense of responsibility in keeping everyone safe, and I usually wake up before anything bad happens. I often dream of a very large white mansion that has many stories with many rooms in it, and I know it is my house. In the dream, I know I'm having company, and I feel the need to check each room to make sure all of the beds have sheets on them because I will be helping many people out. It takes a very long time to walk all of the halls and check all the rooms. There's a spiral staircase in the middle of the house which leads to each floor. The house is on a hill, and there is a very large pool and a lazy river connected to it that goes down the hill and back up. The pool has been dirty in the past, but lately I've been focused on the inside of the house only. some dream analysis books that say that when you dream of a house, it actually represents your physical body. I wonder if I am integrating all of my multidimensional selves in preparation for exiting the matrix. My favorite dream is of flying, although I rarely fly higher than the treetops or telephone poles. Sometimes I have to flap my arms to get up in the air, but I go up like a helicopter rather than taking off like a bird. While in the air, I like to show people on the ground that I can fly, and I can see them looking up in the air at me. Varied dreams like the one can be interpreted as the astral body traveling. However, the weird part of my dream is the fact that I have to flap my arms. My sleep pattern is all over the place. Ironically, while I'm with my boyfriend, I tend to sleep more. He tends to be in my dreams when I am sleeping next to him, but he is more of the static person in the dreams, hardly ever saying anything. I think we communicate a lot telepathically in dreams. Occasionally, someone who has already passed over in my dreams, but I forget that these are dead in the dream, and most of the time they do not say anything either. I feel like that my sleep time is very important, and I try to sleep whenever I can, and I feel the need to. Sometimes I take a nap during the day, but sometimes I can stay awake all day and sleep only 4 to 6 hours at night. I know that I set myself up at this time in my life to be able to have the flexibility to do what I felt like without a strict schedule. This is a clue to me that the dream time is important. I've also noticed that a strange phenomena lately that prompted me to write this article. I've noticed huge downloads upon coming back into my body. It's like slow motion, but probably happens in an instant. Sometimes these downloads appear to my brain as posts on Facebook posts or words on a television screen, but they make no sense. Sometimes thoughts and images flash before me. It feels like it could be programming that will unfold in my waking time. Perhaps it is in preparation that I need to move towards a higher consciousness. So it says we are connected by an etheric cord, and we all leave our body when we sleep, and we all have various jobs to do. Although I am one who is being programmed with cover-up stories rather than what I'm actually doing, some people remember their dreams and are cognizant while dreaming. These people remember being in ships or being on other planets. Some people dream about being in parallel lives occurring at the same time as this lifetime. Some people remember helping people who are dying and are about to cross over to the other side. Many people have precognition dreams, and many people remember being a warrior of sorts. I've been told I work with vibration and I assist the planet to lessen natural disasters like earthquakes, volcanoes, and hurricanes. I've also been told that I work very hard on lessening the ongoing effects of the radiation of Fukushima and the BP oil spill in the oceans. Since I do not recall any of this work, I find it fascinating what the brain interprets as we re-enter our bodies. We are all probably doing more for the planet and our mission than we realize. When I am awake, I consciously ground my energy into the planet and into the consciousness grid. Perhaps when my body is in slumber state, my astral body can leave and more of my higher consciousness slips into the ground, more of that energy. Could the biggest part of my work be happening without me even knowing about it? I like to think so. I feel that if I get 2 hours of sleep, it may actually be triple the amount of hours of work on the other side. I feel like I do a lot of work because I rarely feel fully rested. This has made me realize that many people on this planet may be doing a lot more for the planet and humanity than we realize just by being here. For some people, they probably just came here to do this. It may not matter if they wake up or not what is really happening on the planet. Because we've been trapped in an artificial construct, it seems that much of our real work is accomplished in the dream state. As multidimensional beings, we can be many places at once. Listening to your body when it is tired is paramount at this time. The ignorant self-ego is constantly fighting all the knowing self-consciousness, and it likes to make you feel guilty for sleeping late or taking naps. Our bodies are changing and morphing from carbon-based to crystalline-based, and this can make us very tired. The subconscious knows what is best. When you feel the urge to sleep, it is your subconscious calling you back to the ship to work on the other side. Rather than trying to write down my dreams, interpret them, or remember what battle I fought, I just decided to roll with the flow and let each dream memory come and go without judgment or too much interpretation. My multidimensional selves, past and future, are working with my monad or oversoul, and apparently I would not understand what is occurring with my limited reptilian brain capacity. I have learned to trust that all is unfolding in the dream world as being grounded in my waking state as it needs to. Being the observer of the codes and messages that flash before my eyes upon awakening has been fascinating, And I've realized that my subconscious knows when to turn these patterns into reality. Synchronicity always reminds me that I have a part of me on another level that knows exactly what's going on. I also feel that when the veil drops, I will know everything I need to know. For now, I simply wait and enjoy the play. All right, good article. Another good article there. And this brings us to our channeled message for today. And today it comes to us from Quan Yin. Quan Yin, here we are.
Snell,
Dear Ones,
2014, by Jennifer Snell.
Dear Ones, I am Quan Yin, Ascended Master. Dear Ones, I come to you today in love and light and as the embodiment of compassion and mercy. Dear Ones, this is a magnificent time on Gaia as she and her inhabitants continue to purge and transmute dark negative energy, to allow more and more light into the individual and collective consciousness. Now is a time for all to rejoice. As this energy gets transmuted, beautiful new creations emerge. The creation of dreams that are now being realized and actuated in what we are called the Golden Age of Aquarius. For many this can be a tumultuous time as dark energy is being released, as many old and even ancient energetic patterns are being brought to the surface of the tree of life to be cleared from its roots. This intense clearing process can elicit physical and emotional pain. If you yourself are going through this process, or know someone that is going through this process, you will understand what we mean. Sometimes a person's behavior can become erratic, even nonsensical at times. These karmic patterns can carry a lot of emotional charge. In many cases, clusters of soul groups have been repeating the same energy patterns for hundreds if not thousands of lifetimes, and now the valley of the shadow is coming to an end. People who are normally even-keeled can go into a range of extreme high and low emotional thresholds. We wish to explain this as long-time or close relationships can sometimes take awkward turns or unexpected turns as these patterns get released. We ask you to acknowledge these situations with compassion. As you see the butterfly writhing in the cocoon to escape, you can sense the depth of energy expelled in this process. When you see this birthing process, do you feel yourself cheering for the butterfly to escape so that it can fly? The same analogy applies to the human process of negative energy clearing. This process allows the beautiful transformation of the caterpillar to now be the butterfly. We ask that you have extreme compassion for yourselves and for others at this time. Any human soul that is on Gaia is going through some sort of energy transmutation to acclimate it to the higher frequencies. As always, drink lots of water and meditate daily. Eat healthy foods and get lots of sleep. Be kind to yourselves and to others. We love you. Quan Yin.
Alright, good message from Quan Yin. Let's close our eyes for our meditation today. Take a deep breath and exhale. Take another deep breath and exhale again. Another deep breath. Imagine the energy of the air going through your body, cycling through, cleansing out all the doubts and the fears. And exhale. Let's imagine ourselves walking along the path of life, just observing everything that is happening around us. And as we observe, we see those who are awake as they move through life and those who are asleep. And we notice the difference because those who are awake are moving around of their own accord, using their own minds and making their own decisions, while those who are asleep seem to be walking around in a trance, just following the messages that are put out through the televisions and the radio waves and all the other places where messages travel through the air. And as we experience those who are caught up in this sleep, this trance-like state, and those who are awake, we understand the difference is very subtle. And we understand the challenges that are involved with waking up those who are still asleep. So we just imagine rain falling down upon the heads of everyone, and as this rain falls down, those who are asleep begin to wake up. And as they wake up, they realize that they are moving to the tune that somebody else is playing. And they realize that the one who is playing the tune is not the creator of this universe, but is simply man who has selfish ideas and agendas. And so as people wake up one by one, they begin to pull away from this system that is imprisoning them and begin to honor who and what they are about as a child of God. Contemplate the words of today's affirmation: I will be a better me. I will be a better me. And as we go through the world today, just imagine what it takes to be a better me, a better you, a better us. Imagine that all we have to do is make the change of who we are and allow that to be enough to inspire others. So let's just imagine ourselves moving down the path of life, sending out love and light into the world, and just being the example of that which we are doing as we continue to keep our minds open and send out love into the world. So let's just keep doing that, sending out love and positivity all around the globe to each and every individual. Let's just imagine this happening now. Let your subconscious mind continue on that journey of sending out love and light and positivity, and bring your conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment, filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment, filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment, happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. And that's it, my friends. That is it for today's show. Thank you very much for being here. I'll be back tomorrow. We shall continue on. Until then, I love you. Keep loving each other. Peace. I'm out of here.